The best and worst places to live in the UK have been revealed in a new quality of life index you've never seen. Today, we're embarking on a journey through the least desirable places in the UK. Yes, those places that make you think twice before unpacking. But first, it's worth clarifying that this list is based on a poll by the satirical website I Live Here UK, where thousands of Brits voted to reveal the 10 worst places to live in the Queensland. I mean, it's the King's now. So the opinions expressed here are the Brits and not ours, okay? And that said, without further ado, let's get to know the worst destinations to call home. Number 10, Bradford. We start our list with Bradford, a city that once had its glory days and was once the pride of the United Kingdom, known as the wool capital of the world during the Industrial Revolution. But from the mid-20th century onwards, deindustrialization hit hard and the glory days were behind us. Unfortunately, the city has swapped sheep's wool for trouble. Not that the city doesn't have its charms. The Victorian architecture is breathtaking, the town hall is a sight for sore eyes, and the curry, oh, Bradford's curry is to die for. But the lack of security, the dirt in the streets, and the feeling of abandonment in some areas are problems faced by residents. Neighborhoods like Homewood, known for their violence, are avoided even by taxi drivers who fear being the victims of attacks. Vandalism is rife and urban decay is visible, with piles of garbage burned in broad daylight. Although there are initiatives to improve the quality of life, such as creating green spaces and promoting cultural events, Bradford still has a long way to go to become an attractive place to live. Number 9, Bournemouth. The presence of Bournemouth on this list may come as a surprise after all. We are talking about a seaside town with beautiful beaches. This coastal resort town, which some consider a small replica of California, is a 2-hour train ride from London and enchants with its mild climate and vibrant resort atmosphere. The busy promenade, Ferris wheel, and charming piers attract tourists in search of leisure and postcard landscapes. But why is this little paradise on this list? Well, there are many reasons. But let's start with the prices. Imagine living in a place where the cost of living is so high that all you have to do is take out a loan to have an ice cream on the beach. That's right. It may sound like an exaggeration, but the real estate market in this city is out of control, turning the place into a playground for the rich, leaving ordinary residents struggling to keep up with prices. The job market is another weak point, with few opportunities outside the service sector, making it difficult to build a solid career. This forces many young people and qualified professionals to seek opportunities in other regions. Traffic is a real nightmare, especially in high season when the city is overrun with tourists. Congestion, endless queues, and overcrowding in popular areas turn what should be a coastal paradise into a logistical nightmare for residents. In addition, Bournemouth faces crime problems that contrast with its glamorous image. Pockets of poverty and deprivation of basic and social services in certain areas of the town reveal that not everything is perfect in this apparent paradise. And in this context, the phrase, "not all that glitters is gold," makes perfect sense, don't you think? Number 8, Swindon. Moving on, we come to Swindon, a place that seems to have been sucked into a 1960s time machine and never left. The town, with its modernist urban planning, looks more like a social experiment gone wrong than a place to call home. The modernist architecture, rather than enchanting, is seen as a monstrosity, leaving the city looking gray and worn out. And according to the residents themselves, it is considered horrible and monstrous. The city center, which should be the beating heart, is more like a scene of decay. The closed stores, deteriorated facades, and streets full of garbage give the feeling of abandonment. The city center, although busy, suffers from the presence of homeless people, alcoholics, and drug addicts, generating insecurity and fear among citizens. The lack of security is a constant concern. Many residents avoid the city center at night and feel unsafe in their own homes. A sense of abandonment and a lack of pride in the city are common feelings among the inhabitants. In addition, nightlife is almost non-existent, which makes the city even less attractive to young people and those looking for a bit of excitement. The lack of leisure and cultural options means that Swindon is seen as a dull town with no personality, a place grayer than London's sky. Number 7. Andover. Leaving Swindon, our next stop is Andover, a small town that, despite its size, has some noteworthy problems. Andover is the kind of place that gives you a hug with one hand and a push with the other. At first glance, the tranquility is deceiving, seeming like an oasis of peace. But, spoiler, this calmness quickly turns to boredom. The reason? The city is almost a cultural desert with not much to do or see. For those who enjoy a buzz, Andover is a real bucket of cold water. The few bars and restaurants that survive barely hold the interest of the locals, and the nightlife? Almost non-existent. Young people, always looking for something more exciting, end up seeing the town as a great social void, and if you don't have a car, my friend, prepare to feel the weight of isolation, because public transport is as rare as a sunny day in the British winter. It's not hard to find former residents talking about Andover with a touch of bitterness. The town has been described as soulless and cultureless, a place where antisocial behavior is practically routine. The Chantry Centre, which should be the highlight of the town, has become a meeting place for groups of young people who skip school or drink in public. The vibe there is anything but welcoming. Passers-by can't help but notice the rowdy behavior of these groups, who often intimidate and provoke passers-by, creating a tense atmosphere. It's not for nothing that one former resident put it bluntly and defined Andover as the kind of hellhole that only exists in the deepest realms of a dark fiction novel. Yeah, life there isn't easy. Number 6. Aldershot. Leaving Andover, we landed in Aldershot, the famous home of the British Army. The name even makes you think it's the kind of place where you'd feel super safe, right? But the reality, my friend, is quite different. Imagine living in a town where the military presence should be a guarantee of safety, but it turns out to be almost the opposite. Aldershot is known for its high crime rates, and we're not talking about petty theft. Conflicts and antisocial behavior are practically part of the basic package, leaving residents feeling that they're not even safe at home. And the economy? That's in a battle that already seems lost. Local commerce is crumbling faster than the royal family rumors, with stores closing their doors and the city center looking more like a ghost town than a vibrant meeting place. Lack of investment and crumbling infrastructure make the city's future look as promising as its empty, desolate streets. Poor public transport, a constant feeling of insecurity, and a shopping center that looks like it's straight out of a post-apocalyptic movie. Aldershot may have a proud military history, but at present the city seems to be losing the battle against its own problems. In the words of one resident, Aldershot really exudes a decadent atmosphere from every concrete pore. What a situation, eh? Number 5. Alsbury. Have you heard of Alsbury? If not, perhaps it's for the best. Nestled in the beautiful Buckinghamshire countryside, the town could be a quiet haven, an oasis of peace amidst the chaos of the world. But in reality, the place is more like one of those movies where the trailer completely deceives you. The traffic here is legendary, in the worst sense of the word. Prepare yourself for epic traffic jams that would make even the Dalai Lama lose patience. At peak times, the streets turn into a veritable automotive apocalypse with stalled cars, deafening honks, and drivers who seem to have lost all hope in humanity. And don't think that traffic is the only problem. Crime is also rife here, transforming the city into a scenario worthy of a thriller movie. The feeling of insecurity is so palpable that even the letter carrier thinks twice before delivering his mail. The dirty and poorly maintained streets only add to the atmosphere of abandonment and neglect. To complete the unsightly picture, the lack of quality employment opportunities is a bucket of cold water on the city's self-esteem. Many residents are forced to work away, facing long, tiring daily journeys to work in London or other larger cities. Life in Alsbury boils down to an exhausting routine of commuting and frustration, a vicious cycle that seems to have no end. Number 4. Slough. Have you ever heard the saying, life imitates art? Well, in Slough, that's practically a reality. If you're familiar with the TV series The Office, you'll know what I'm talking about. That dull, depressing, and toxic little town, immortalized in the British version of the show, is the pure representation of what you find in Slough in real life. Oh, and just for the record, before it became the famous American series you all know, The Office began in the UK, right there in Slough. The town is dominated by an industrial landscape that spreads like the plague, with factories and warehouses everywhere, creating an atmosphere so oppressive that it makes anyone feel suffocated. And the traffic? Oh, the traffic in Slough is a constant nightmare. Traffic jams are so common that many residents prefer to avoid driving at all costs. And if the traffic isn't enough to put you off, the crime certainly is. Yes, in addition to the traffic chaos and the industrial landscape that makes you want to run in the opposite direction, Slough also suffers from high crime rates. Muggings and vandalism are so common that the feeling of insecurity is almost a permanent feature of the town. Its proximity to London may be an attraction for some, but when it comes to quality of life, it's best to stay away. Number 3. Portsmouth. Entering our top 3, we come to Portsmouth. Portsmouth is a city where the social disparities are glaring. Luxurious neighborhoods, with magazine cover-worthy houses and impeccable gardens, live side by side with rundown areas, where poverty and neglect are evident. Crime is a constant concern in Portsmouth, especially in more deprived areas, where vandalism and theft are common. The feeling of insecurity is constant, and the tranquility of coastal life is lost amid fear and apprehension. Overcrowding is also a serious problem in Portsmouth. The high population density puts pressure on public services and infrastructure, creating a chaotic and stressful environment. Hospital queues are long, schools are packed, and public transport is so inefficient that you can get to your destination faster on foot. The city seems to be on the verge of collapse, struggling to accommodate its inhabitants. Despite its rich naval heritage and beautiful landscapes, Portsmouth is a city where many residents struggle to make a decent living. Economic and social difficulties turn the dream of coastal life into a nightmare. Number 2. Peterborough. We come to our penultimate stop. Peterborough, a city that seems to have gone into eternal hibernation and shows no signs of waking up anytime soon. No wonder Peterborough is always at the top of these lists. If you're looking for a vibrant place full of opportunities, you can cross Peterborough off your destination map. Here, the word of the day is stagnation. The lack of job opportunities is one of the city's biggest problems. Unless you dream of working in a fast food outlet or a supermarket, your options are very limited. Unemployment is high, and many young people feel trapped in a cycle of poverty and hopelessness that seems to have no end. Crime is not far behind in Peterborough either. Lack of prospects and frustration with the city standing still lead many young people to get involved in illegal activities. The feeling of insecurity is so constant that going out at night or passing through certain areas of the city has become an extreme sport. And if you thought it couldn't get any worse, Peterborough's precarious infrastructure is yet another low blow. Public transportation is so inefficient that it seems like a joke, and the streets full of potholes and cracks add that extra charm to the experience. The city seems to have stood still in time and made do with it. Number 1. Luton. And finally, we come to the top, or is it the bottom of our list? Luton is that place that everyone loves to hate. The town is famous for its unkempt appearance, high crime rates, traffic problems, and, to top it off, a glaring lack of attractions. Located in the county of Bedfordshire, Luton is best known for its airport, which, although busy, contributes to basic noise pollution and a constant sense of chaos. But of course, Luton isn't just about a noisy airport. The town also suffers from serious housing problems, with many rundown areas and a poverty rate that makes you wonder if anyone there even remembers the town exists. Decaying buildings and dirty streets seem to be begging for a little attention and care. Unemployment is another ghost that haunts Luton. The lack of opportunities means that many residents feel trapped in a cycle of poverty and hopelessness that seems to have no end. The town seems to have lost its way, and the hope of a better future seems ever more distant. And to add the finishing touch, Luton is also known for its high crime rates. Often cited as one of the least safe places to live in the UK, the town is the scene of violent crimes that are part of the sad reality of everyday life. The feeling of insecurity is so present that many residents avoid going out at night or even thinking about visiting certain areas. In short, Luton is a town that faces an endless list of challenges. The combination of noise pollution, chaotic traffic, lack of decent housing, unemployment, and crime makes Luton a place where living is undoubtedly a daily battle. And so we come to the end of our journey through the worst places to live in the UK. Do you agree with the ranking? Do you know someone who lives in one of these cities and can share their experiences? Let us know in the comments. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell so you don't miss our next videos, and leave your comment on what you thought of our list. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.